but the big majority of farms employ five workers or less. But what we have is the horticulturists. If you take one, maybe shouldn't mention it, but S&A Strawberries in Herefordshire, just across the border, they employ thousands of people during the season, thousands. And I'm not saying that S&A themselves are driving this, but it is people like S&A, the horticulturists, that see that they can make substantial profits out of getting rid of the Agricultural Wages Board, and of course all those profits are going to be made out of the pockets of the people that work for them, that are already, and let's not run away with the idea that the Agricultural Wages Board has been a fantastic success and has delivered wonderful wages, because they actually went up, of course. October the 1st, the 2012 order came in, and somewhere I've got it here. I haven't got grade 1 written down. It's available, but grade 2, which is where the vast majority of workers are situated within the industry, £6.96 now. Now it's hardly going to you're hardly going to convince anybody that these people are coining it. You know, it's hard work, as we all know, incredibly hard work. You're out in all weathers, and the pay is low. And you know, it's our job as a union to try and get that up. But we're not going to be undermined by, we are not going to allow ourselves to be undermined by political moves to drop that £6.96 to something substantially lower. £6.19 is the national minimum wage. Now, not all farmers are going to drop to £6.19, but the worst will. And of course, it's always the worst that we have the most problems with. So it will happen in some places, it won't in others, although obviously over time, if there's no negotiations, national negotiations every year to come to an agreement about what the level will be, that level will drop. It's human nature. I mean, I can't say that I blame anybody. You know, if they can save 5 pence an hour, they're going to save 5 pence an hour. And we've got to keep the board in one form or another. My real hope is that we keep the Agricultural Wages Board for England and Wales as it stands at the moment. And I'm incredibly grateful for the support that we've had from Welsh Assembly members, and you know, I know you're going to have a debate this afternoon, and I know that, well, I'm pretty sure that there will be a commitment that if the board does go in England, there will be something retained in Wales, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. But my main priority is that we keep the wages board at England and Wales.
Yes, I understand that. Okay, thank you very much.
I just want to add to that, from a farmer point of view, and from our union's point of view, it is the main subject of inquiry from employers, not just employees, but employers. Yeah. And so what we have at the moment is a harmonious situation in terms of worker-employer relationship on the whole in Welsh agriculture. And the reason behind that is that there is a format at a distance from both parties that they can turn to if there is any disagreement. And it's very difficult to explain as well how different farming is to many other sectors in terms of employment, because you have things like, well, the dog is worth something to the shepherd, and the dog should bring its own premium in, you know. And yes, indeed, and we work obviously on social hours because we have to work when the weather permits us to work. So these are the kind of things that you need some arm's length body to legislate on and to say this is how it should be. And at the moment that exists. If you take that away, what you're going to have is those two parties discussing directly with each other, and they work very closely at the moment. And if you create a rift by creating a disagreement where there isn't one at the moment because there's somebody else speaking on both sides of the argument, then you're going to create problems for the future. And we want an industry that's high in skills, so obviously anything that pushes up wages for the lowest earner makes the industry more attractive. We want to maintain that. You know, it's a very complicated industry now. It's a multi-skilled industry. Same in forestry. You don't do one thing. You do a wide array of things, mainly to do with problem solving, you know, as a job really. So there's obviously urgency in this. So we support you to the hilt. I can stress you that. And as you say, Otherwise, it's a drive down on wages, and we don't want that. And the other important thing as well is that it's not going to cost anybody hardly anything to retain it. It exists. If you get rid of this, this already is there. If it's disposed of in England before we do something in Wales, this is thrown out, and Wales has to start again. We don't want to put you guys as legislators in that situation either. We don't want, this is there. It's a substantial body of work that we need to retain. So there's urgency in it, really.
And in fact, all that's required is it's under review and it's monitored, and as a result of discussions, adjusted periodically.
Absolutely.
So
they meet as and when required, and there's an annual review. That's what happens at the moment. And obviously, the people who do meet, you can choose those. You can create a new body of representatives, if you like. But for God's sake, try and keep what's already there and work from there. You know.
One last thing I would say: if we do manage to retain the England and Wales board, then there should be a push from your union for a seat. There are 8 seats the NSU hold on there, 8 seats, and you don't get one. So if we do manage to keep this board, you should be pushing, and we'll support you for a seat on the existing board.
And, well, I'll reiterate that, but I will also say that this is part of the maturing, devolutionary situation in Wales as well. There's a potential there that if we don't succeed with what you're advocating, then we have to start being mature enough to stand on our own 2 feet and say, we're different here. We already do look different, and there's a Welsh brand involved here as far as attitude to employment is concerned, which we need to back as well, I think.
I think it would be totally contradictory to be saying let's do away with the Agricultural Wages Board, and at the same time then looking and saying, well, what are we doing about rural poverty, what are we doing about equality, and what are we doing about making the agricultural sector more attractive for the future, so that people actually want to stay in it, rather than leaving the country. So it ticks all those boxes of government policy, sustainability.
It does, and the cost, I reiterate this again, the taxpayer are almost nothing.
£57,000 the board cost last year for the whole of its functions across the whole of the United Kingdom. Well, sorry, not the United Kingdom, because it's the England and Wales board. It cost £57,000. It is a joke.
Yeah.
Even I make that much money in a year.
I don't.
But is there another problem? If we're going to lose, it's just short of £1 an hour in the wages. I can't remember the figure. I think it was 19 to 92.
Yes.
92 possibly. That then is lost into that economy.
Absolutely.
And the value of losing £1 could actually, in reality, because it's the other jobs then, the small shops and pubs and post offices and other people, could actually be £4 loss by the time you go through, and other jobs that are relying on, you know, the farmers or the farm workers or anybody on the land spending their money are equally affected.
And I would be really disappointed if that £1 was spent in arguing between both positions and on lawyers, basically.
Exactly.
As an ex-lawyer, I totally agree.
I knew I'd get that one in somewhere. Most politicians are ex-lawyers.
I've heard all the jokes.
I know.
Well, I heard a figure the other day that for every £1 spent by a farmer generates £16 in the local economy. So £1 lost in wages is £16 an hour lost from the economy, in theory.
Just one other thing, that just from what you just said now, it's not just agricultural wages that will come down as a result of this, because it is used as a benchmark across rural industries. Now, look, I'm self-employed, and I can tell you, I'm on the Agricultural Wages Board, and when we increase our, when we get a 2.8% increase, as we did last year, then I expect my prices to go up by 2.8%. So I'm just one example of this whole host of people across rural areas in England and Wales whose wages aren't defined by the Agricultural Wages Board, but are very closely linked.
One point that hasn't been raised is young people coming into the industry as well. Removing the wages board and reducing the down to minimum wage is going to make the industry less attractive at a time when we need
60,000
Yes,
new entrants a year.
New entrants.
Where are those guys going to come from if they think that they're going to start on minimum wage, which isn't the case at the moment?
No overtime, none of the other matters that relate
Less
to
holidays.
that's right, sickness and so on.
Bereavement leave.
Why Yeah, no, it's a very,
Yeah.
very real issue.
It's a